As far as I know, The Little Shop of Horrors had the shortest shooting schedule of any picture in history. I shot the picture in 2 days and a night. It was really conceived of as a joke to see what I could do with just 2 days of shooting on a studio.
Earlier this year, we lost the king of B movies, Roger Corman, a guy who in a career spanning 70 years made hundreds of movies and helped shape exploitation cinema all the way from the drive-in to the streaming era. But weirdly enough, even though I've covered several movies that Corman produced on this channel, I haven't talked about a single movie that he directed. Or at least none that he officially directed. Well, that changes right now, and I'm gonna start with arguably his most famous movie. So lots of people know about the 1986 musical version of Little Shop of Horrors with Rick Moranis, but I'm surprised how many people aren't even aware that it's a remake. They're pretty easy to distinguish though. The 80s version is called Little Shop of Horrors, while the 1960 original is called The Little Shop of Horrors. Also, while the remake is a colorful, big-budget musical, the original is a low-budget black and white comedy that's mostly famous for being filmed in just 2 days on sets left over from one of Corman's previous movies, A Bucket of Blood. This also had the same screenwriter as A Bucket of Blood, Charles B. Griffith, as well as some of the same actors. For many years, the story behind the film's fast production involved a bet someone made with Corman that he couldn't make a movie in such a short amount of time, but the reality is a little different. According to actors Mel Wells and Jackie Joseph, the real reason Corman made the movie so quickly was because on New Year's Day 1960, new rules were going into place that meant from then on, filmmakers would have to pay actors residuals for future releases of their work. And Corman, enterprising man that he was, thought to himself, I can crank out one more movie before I have to do that. Whatever the reason for the movie's fast production schedule, it doesn't seem to have affected the final product that much, since not only is this considered one of Corman's best films, it's also been called the greatest movie ever made in 2 days. Ironically enough though, Corman apparently had so little faith in the movie that he didn't even bother copywriting it, which I guess makes it the second greatest public domain horror movie after Night of the Living Dead. Well, at least this means I won't have to worry about this video getting hit with a copyright claim and... What? Oh, you gotta be kidding me! Alright, the remake begins with a peppy musical number set in Skid Row. So, how does the original start?
My name is Sergeant Joe Fink, working the 24-hour shift out of homicide. And this is my workshop.
Like if Ralph Bakshi made a cop movie. Interesting. Anyway, most of the movie takes place in a Skid Row flower shop run by Gravis Mushnick, who's much more of a main character here than in the remake.
Flower as fresh as the springtime Mushnicks, hello? Look on me, Mrs. Shiver. What am I, a philatelist?
Get up from the back!
Oh, I don't know why this place isn't doing better. He's such a charming salesman. That probably has something to do with his inept employee, Seymour Krelboyne, the world's oldest newsie. And if you're wondering what he's like in this version...
But gee, Mr. Mushnick, don't I always try to do what's right? And I'm crazy about flowers. I like flowers almost as much as Audrey does.
He's less Rick Moranis and more Skid Row Jerry Lewis. And it's a Roger Corman movie, so that means we gotta have Dick Miller show up at some point.
Oh, here are your carnations. Wait, I'll wrap them for you.
No, that's all right. I'll leave them here.
They are all right?
Well, I've had better.
Such a thing, eating flowers.
Look, don't knock it until you try it, huh?
1960, when even vegans were zany. It's a real shame Dick Miller wasn't also in the remake. That guy was like the king of 80s movie cameos. Anyway, just like the 80s version, Seymour has a crush on his co-worker, Audrey.
Yes, you are fired.
Gravis, you can't do that.
Who can?
Why don't you give him a chance to resurrect himself?
Well, thankfully your voice isn't quite as squeaky this time. Here's another difference between this version and the remake. Instead of a mean green mother from outer space, the killer plant is one that Seymour engineered himself in the hopes that it'll boost Mushnick's business. Which begs the question, if he can do that, what the hell is he doing working at a flower shop?
Don't worry, you'll like it. You'll see.
Oh, right, because he's still an idiot. And also he still lives at home with his mom.
This is Radio KSIK. You You've been listening to Music for Old Invalids.
Well, pretty much all music from 1960 is that now.
Did you stop at Dr. Mallard's and get the results of my test?
Yeah, he said your T levels are just great, Ma. Those magnesium supplements really do work. Seymour's mom's a bit of a hypochondriac, but I think I know what'll make her feel better.
Dr. Slurp Saddle's famous tonic, alcoholic content, 98%.
1960, when the best cure for what ails you was getting drunk off your ass. He also picked her up some doctor-recommended cigarettes, too. And forget your weird plants, Seymour. You might be able to pay your mom's medical bills if you just sold this place and got a modest condo. How did he make this thing, anyway?
Well, I'm not sure. I got the seeds from a Japanese gardener over on Central Avenue.
Oh boy, I know where this is headed.
Well, I gave it a name.
What name?
Audrey 2?
I named it Audrey Jr.
Whatever, close enough. Even though regular Audrey seems flattered, the plant seems to be dying no matter what Seymour feeds it.
Here, let me move this out of your way so you can breathe.
Okay, turns out it feeds on zany shtick.
Blood? You like blood?
Yeah, that too. Now that he's found a way to feed his budding little piranha plant, maybe he can finally impress Mr. Mushnick.
What happened to your fingers?
Bee stings.
5 bees, one for each finger?
10 bees.
Well, hopefully you got the Tony Todd Candyman deal. R.I.P., by the way. Audrey Jr.'s gotten so big they can barely find words to describe it.
Isn't it empirical?
It grows like a cold sore from the lip.
Mushnick truly has the soul of a poet. Or possibly Andrew Dice Clay. And Audrey Jr.'s already helping business. Even these extras from a Roger Corman teen delinquent movie come by to see it.
You would like maybe to buy something.
Well, we don't have any money. Except $2,000.
Whoa, $2,000? That's like 5 more Corman movies. And hey, I had no idea florist groupies were a thing. Everything's turning out great for Seymour. Even Mr. Mushnick's impressed.
Oh, gee, Mr. Mushnick.
What, Mr. Mushnick? I don't want you should call me Mr. Mushnick anymore. I want you should call me Dad.
Okay, Dad.
Okay, Seymour, your boss insisting that you call him Daddy is never a good thing. I mean, it might lead to a promotion, but trust me, it's not worth it. Bad news, though. Audrey Jr.'s already gone anemic.
You have perhaps an explanation.
No, but if you give me a minute, I'll think of one.
You have 5 seconds. We're on a tight schedule, and this movie's got to be done by tomorrow. If only there was a way for Audrey Jr. to tell Seymour what's wrong.
Feed me.
You said that.
Feed me.
Okay, not as distinctive as Levi Stubbs' voice from the remake. And honestly, they probably still could have used him here. The Four Tops were around back then.
Does this look inanimate to you, punk?
You can talk. I got a talking plant.
A talking plant? Audrey Jr.'s voice was done by the movie's screenwriter, Charles B. Griffith, who said the lines off camera so the actors had something to react to, thinking he was going to be dubbed over later by another actor. But Corman liked his performance so much he kept it in. Plus, that way he wouldn't have to pay another actor, so it was probably also a reason.
Gee, Junior, I'd like to feed you, but I used up all my fingers.
Feed me more.
Look, donate a pint of blood and then swipe it when the guy's not looking. You'll get a free cookie, that's probably the only thing you've eaten all day. Or, you could go to the train yard and practice throwing rocks at liquor bottles. Congratulations, you won a stuffed animal. And don't worry, Seymour, he's not dead. Yet. Why do I get the feeling Corman paid an extra to stand in front of a train and just hoped for the best? And don't freak out, Seymour. You found a way to feed Audrey Jr. and clean up LA's homeless problem. It's a win-win. Unfortunately for Seymour, Mr. Mushnick drops by and sees him feeding body parts to Audrey Jr. from the Phantom Zone? Where the hell is he? Jeez, this just ruined his dinner date with Audrey in somebody's living room.
Audrey, you wouldn't believe it.
You should break out and tell me.
All right, I'll tell you tomorrow, right after I am telling the police.
But Mushnick didn't come to the police. If he had, that might have been the finish of the unhappy story.
Oh yeah, this did start out with narration. It had been so long I forgot. And don't worry about the murders, Mushnick. Audrey Jr.'s gotten so big people are coming from all over to see it.
Hey, guess what? We're going to feature Audrey Jr. Right on top.
Boy.
Can't you just picture it?
I can picture
Oh, won't the people just eat it up?
Eat up the people.
Well, Mushnick's gone full oy vey verklempt.
You gave this plant a fancy name, Audrey Jr., but I want to know right now, what do just people call it?
Audrey 2. The remake really is a lot more popular. And don't bother Seymour with this now. He's got a toothache. He's got to go see the dentist in a completely unrelated scene that has nothing really to do with the rest of the plot. Now, the dentist in this version isn't as much of an important character like Steve Martin was in the remake, but he is still an asshole.
Does that hurt?
Yeah!
Good, you haven't felt anything yet.
Also, instead of choking on laughing gas, he dies after having a duel with Seymour and getting stabbed with the dentist drill? I think it's a little hard to see what happens here. Now, Roger Corman is also famous for helping the careers of several directors and actors who would later go on to become stars. James Cameron, Francis Ford Coppola, Joe Dante, Peter Fonda, William Shatner. All of them got their start working for Corman. So, are there any future stars in this movie?
Is this Doctor's office?
Whoa, Dennis Hopper's in this? No way! Yep, that's Jack Nicholson as a masochistic dental patient, similar to the role Bill Murray played in the remake. And because of his later fame, a lot of home video releases tried to make it seem like he's the star, even though he's actually only in one scene. A lot of them also said this was his first movie, which isn't true, since he previously worked for Corman in The Crybaby Killer.
Don't make me. Don't be a fool, kid. You think Al would carry a real gun?
Okay, I've never seen that one, but sure seems like it'd be a good candidate for this channel.
The man had cancer, tuberculosis, leprosy, and a touch of the grip. I decided to operate.
You know, considering Nicholson's reputation as a cool guy, it's weird to see him acting like such a goofball here.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes. Oh my God, don't stop now!
You know what? I can see this kid going places.
It's been quite an afternoon. I can truly say I've never enjoyed myself so much. I'll recommend you to all my friends.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.
Well, now that that's over with, time to feed the dentist to Audrey Jr. Not to mention this is a great way to get out of paying the bill if you don't have insurance.
I never meant to kill anybody in my whole life. I've killed 2 in the last 2 days.
That's nothing. Corman could make a whole movie in that time. Meanwhile, all the people going missing has caught the attention of the police, although at least we've solved the mystery of who was doing that random narration. These are detectives Joe Fink and Frank Stooley, who are parodies of the show Dragnet, which is a reference that's probably lost on a lot of modern audiences, although this does still lead to some funny dialogue.
How's the wife, Frank?
Not bad, Joe.
Glad to hear it. The kids?
Lost one yesterday.
Lost one, eh? How'd that happen?
Playing some matches.
Well, those are breaks.
Yeah, I guess so.
Alright, we've gone from Borscht Belt style humor to deadpan jokes about kids dying. This movie has everything. These two better get to work finding what happened to those missing people.
Now we were on the case. Officer Frank Stooley and me.
It's still weird whenever the narration comes in, though. Meanwhile, Audrey Jr. slowly turning into Audrey Zilla.
It's monstrosity.
I like my description better. This impresses the real Audrey so much, she even agrees to go on a date with Seymour. If he plays his cards right, he might even get to show her Seymour Jr. First, though, Mr. Mushnick's gonna have to talk to the cops.
Just want to ask you a few questions.
Questions, ask me.
Just want to ask you a few questions.
I didn't do it.
Do what?
Whatever.
Alright, good enough for me. But you let us know if you see anything suspicious, okay? You've got some splaining to do, Seymour.
You wouldn't kid your father.
My father came home?
Me, idiot! It's a figure of speech.
Instead of Little Shop of Horrors, this should have been called Little Shop of Borscht Belt humor. And if you don't believe me...
I understand you want to take Audrey out on a date tonight. That's very good with me. Because I am staying to keep an eye on that Meshuggah plant.
Quit kvetching. Things are going really good for Seymour. A lady from some flower society even wants to give him an award.
Is this a freak, or can more be raised from the seeds?
We should live so long.
Well, I don't think they're going to be any more, Miss...
Yeah, that's what you think. This is going to become a franchise.
Tell me, when do you suppose those large buds will open?
They should open day after tomorrow at sunset.
No, that's too late. The movie's got to be done filming by then. Before he can get his award, Seymour takes Audrey on the most romantic date imaginable, dinner with his mother.
It tastes like cough syrup.
Dr. Flynn's cough syrup.
Come on, Mrs. Krellboind. You can't at least share some of your booze medicine from earlier? I see this date going well.
You think they're getting married? Well, he hasn't asked me yet.
Okay, come on, Audrey. You just kissed him. If you want an engagement ring, you're gonna have to at least let him get to second base first. While this is going on, Mr. Mushnick tries to keep an eye on Audrey Jr., but soon finds out he gets cranky when he's hungry.
I want food!
Who would you like to have tonight?
You look fat enough.
We not only got a talking plant, we got one that makes with smart cracks.
Yeah, that's my job. He soon gets interrupted by a robber, again played by Charles B. Griffith. Hey, can't blame Corman for trying to save money whenever he could. You know, considering Corman reused the same people, I really wish he would have used Jack Nicholson to voice Audrey Jr.
Hey, what's the matter with you? You're screwing just like a Chinaman.
And Griffith may have wrote some witty dialogue for this movie, but he plays one of the dumbest criminals I've ever seen.
They must have spent some money. Where is it?
In the plant.
In the plant.
Well, seems legit. I can't possibly see anything bad happening here.
Boy, what I did.
Alright, that does it, Seymour. If that plant eats one more person, you're fired. As if the murders weren't bad enough, I don't think Seymour's mom approves of him dating Audrey.
Why don't you get yourself a real female with something decent like mononucleosis or gallstones?
Well, maybe she could catch something like that.
Actually, Ma, I was kinda hoping I could try catching something from her. Can I please go on my date now? And how's this for a second date? They have sandwiches at work. This guy really knows how to charm a girl.
Seymour, what do you want to be?
Well, I want to grow things. If I had a lot of money, I'd go to the South Seas where they grow the most fabulous plants in the world.
Look, just buy some lights and grow some plants at home in your closet. I mean, you'd probably make more money doing that than working at this dump. And you also wouldn't have to worry about getting cock-blocked by a plant.
Feed me.
What'd you say?
Oh, food.
You didn't even say that.
Oh, yes, I did. I said it.
Oh, I'm looking right at you.
Well, I'm a ventriloquist.
You're what?
A ventriloquist.
Feed me.
Okay, you know what? I can see why this built up a cult following. The weird plot about a killer plant combined with the offbeat humor does give it a pretty unique tone. I can't name too many other movies from this time that are like this.
When you're ready to come to your senses, Seymour, then I'll talk to you.
Look, this is probably for the best, Seymour. She was gonna end up with Dick Miller anyway. That does it. Seymour's gonna give Audrey Jr. a talking to.
I'm getting pretty tired of you.
I need food.
I don't care what you need.
Shut up and bring on the food.
And I think he's slowly turning into Yosemite Sam. Not only that, but it can apparently hypnotize people in order Seymour to go look for more victims. Okay, again, I don't know if that was planned. Seymour's in luck, though. He runs into a hooker who seems really into him for some reason. And just wait till you see what she can do with that banana. Okay, not what I meant, but whatever.
My name is Leonora Clyde. How's the rain on the rhubarb?
I also don't know what the hell that means, but I'm assuming it's a come-on. Jesus, this hooker teleports more than a slasher movie killer.
Who are you?
My name is Leonora Clyde. I love you.
And why the hell is she so interested in Seymour?
My name is Seymour.
My name is Seymour.
That's my name, too.
Guess she must have a thing for awkward dopes. And she loves a guy who knows how to handle a prop rock. Okay, I added that sound effect, but honestly, was it that out of place? Well, at least this means he can get Audrey Jr. to shut up for a little while.
The search was narrowing, and we knew that soon we would have the killer.
That narration still seems like it comes out of nowhere, though. Alright, today's the big day. Seymour's gonna get an award, and Audrey Jr.'s buds are about to open.
Look, the first bud is open.
Isn't that the
Railroad cop. Look at the rest.
Okay, so Audrey Jr. does people's portraits too?
They're all there, Joe.
Yes, you're right. Mr. Crowboy, how do you explain this?
Okay, hang on a second. Before he explains himself, Just what do you think the giant plant with human face flowers means? Well, looks like the cops aren't buying your explanation, Seymour. Better wacky run for your life. Just, make sure to do it quickly, okay? I don't know if we have a permit to film in any of these places. Alright, even though this movie's only an hour and 13 minutes long, this last chase sequence does seem a bit like they're stalling for time. So let's just get to the end.
You dirty rat plant, you messed up my whole life! I'll feed you. I'll feed you like you've never been fed before.
Oh, stepping directly into the man-eating plant's mouth. Well, bold strategy. Let's see if it works out for him. Spoiler alert, it does not.
Seymour!
I didn't mean it.
Okay, admittedly, this ending is a little abrupt, almost like they couldn't think of anything else, but it was made in 2 days. I'll cut him some slack. While the movie didn't do much business when it was first released, repeated showings on TV meant that Corman's Little Shop of Horrors slowly built up a cult following, eventually getting adapted into an off-Broadway musical in 1982, which of course became the basis for the 1986 movie that most people are familiar with. There was also a Saturday morning cartoon series called Little Shop, and there's even been talk about another remake. Because of course there is. Why would Hollywood take a chance on anything new when they can just remake something that already got a remake? And this is even more frustrating when you consider that despite its low-budget origins, this is a pretty original movie. A wacky comedy about a man-eating plant was something people didn't usually see in 1960, and even with the rush production schedule, most things about it, from the acting to the zippy, wordplay-filled dialogue, are actually better than a lot of black and white cult flicks I've covered on this show. It just goes to show that despite his reputation for doing things cheap and mainly following whatever the popular trends of the time were, Corman could also make something that had a genuine impact on the popular culture. And that's not even including all the actors and directors he mentored over the years. Think about it, would Jack Nicholson's career been the same? Not according to him, it wouldn't.
He was, you know, my main my lifeblood to whatever I thought I was going to be as a person. And, you know, I hope he knows that this is not all hot air. I'm going to cry now. Not just me, who's very sentimental, but these other people also love him. Sorry.
Well, Roger, you may be gone, but as long as channels like this are around, you won't be forgotten. I'm a little embarrassed it took me this long to get to one of the movies where he sat in the director's chair, but hey, not everybody worked as quickly and efficiently as he did. Anyway, instead of a weird clip from the movie, I'll just leave you with this.
There's an old story about the producer with a successful Broadway play, and his friend comes to him and says, "Here's the way we can fix the second act." And the producer says, "Never f*** around with a winner."